Hello, this is an 80s style groove box or drum machine patch for the Matriarch. This patch is fairly Matriarch specific, but here's an overview of the patch if you want to try it on another synth. I posted a few other percussive or drum machine style patches before using external modules to expand the Matriarch, but this time around I wanted to make a patch entirely on the Matriarch. There's an index in the description if you want to jump around. I'll do a few demos of the patch, give some performance ideas, and of course a full tutorial and walkthrough of the patch. Here's a patch diagram. You can download these at robemusic.com. But first, here's a little sample of what I came up with this patch. All right, let's add in some bass using the Mother 32. All right, let's get patching. We're going to use the filter as the sound source for the kick and noise as the sound source for the snare. Start with the snare, so I'm just going to put it in drone mode first. Turn up noise here. As you can hear, it's kind of a cross between pink and white noise. So we're going to go into global settings and hit F#1. There's no group select, so the white keys are our noise filter cutoff. I'm going to go with C4, which is maximum cutoff. Great. Okay, turn that off. We'll go back into amp. Actually, let's get a tuning note first. There's a C. One of the bonuses of using a synth for your drums is you can tune them easy. Okay, just cranking the resonance to get the filter to self-oscillate and can tune with the spacing and the cutoff knob. I'm going to leave filter 2 up around 2 kilohertz and use the spacing to tune filter 1 down low for the kick. Okay, that sounds like a C. Great. Yeah, I'm leaving the resonance off on filter 2 and the cutoff high because that will be the signal path for the snare. I don't want the snare to be too dark. I just patched the sequence CV out into a molt. We're going to need a lot of copies of this for this patch. From the molt patch into cutoff in on filter 1. Turn on the sequencer. Yep, filter 1's pitch is now being tracked by the arpeggiator. Great. Okay, let's adjust the envelope a bit, get more of a drum sound. Probably a really quick decay, no sustain, quick attack, and tiny little bit of release. The filter envelope I'm going to use in a second, so it's not really doing anything at the moment. Okay. All right, let's get our snare set up. So we're going to use noise as our sound source. So patching noise into this attenuator here. This attenuator is going to basically act as a VCA, and out of the attenuator into VCF2 in. There. All right, so we obviously want independent control of our snare and kick. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a copy of the sequence CV and plug it into the CV in on the attenuator, which is acting as a VCA, which means the higher the pitch we go, the more it's going to open up that VCA. So let's try it. There. So low note, no noise. And more noise as we go higher. Okay, we're getting there. All right, now we've got to take another copy. We're running out of space on our molt, so I'm going to take another cable and send the ARP CV to this other molt over here. We need a few more copies of our sequence CV. And from there, we're going to go into CV cutoff of filter 2. So the filter will go up, or open, sorry, as the pitch opens, so our snare will get brighter. I'm going to take another copy and put it into this attenuator here. Actually, first, before we deal with the attenuator, let's work on the kick sound a bit more. Analog drum machines usually use VCO modulation to get a quick pitch change with the attack to simulate a real drum. So we'll turn up the envelope amount knob and use the filter envelope to get that. It's a bit much, but it sounds kind of like an 808 tom. So we'll deal mainly with the decay here. Just dial it in. That's pretty good. I'll say it again, I wish the Matriarch had CV control for the envelope generators. It would help with so many patches. Oh well, this is starting to sound pretty good though. Although we got to work on that snare sound a little bit. So we've already got the CV going from the mult into this attenuator here. Let's go out of the attenuator into envelope amount. Already sounds better. Okay, so the plan is the sequencer's pitch will control the amount of filter VCO modulation. So let's just attenuate it a bit so that the higher pitch gets less filter modulation or VCO modulation, and then it will sound more snare-like. Let's try an octave lower here. Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah, we're getting there now. Cool. Okay, just turned it up, but you might find that it's still quiet. So here's a cool trick. Patch the envelope out of the amp envelope generator into CV in on the VCA. It's already normaled, but if you patch it, you'll get a higher signal to the VCA and it'll be louder. Here's the unpatched, normaled, and with it patched. Cool. Right, we're pretty much there. We're just going to sync the mod wave and the arpeggiator by patching gate of the arp out into sync in. At the moment, we're not using the mod wave to modulate anything, but if we decide to, it will be synced up. Okay, just having a listen to different pitches, and if we play with my attenuator here, which, there we go. There we can cut off the snare altogether. I think we got it now. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. So at the moment, I'm just using the arpeggiator. Let's turn that back on. The bonus of using the arpeggiator is you've got real-time control. We've got direction control and octave control, which is pretty good for getting some variety in the patterns. Remember, at the lower notes on the keyboard, you're going to get less noise, more tom-like sounds, and higher will be more snare-like sounds. Since we set up that sync, let's try the mod. Okay, cool little sound. Nice. Starting to sound drum-like. So without the sequencer on, we're not going to get any variation in our pitch. But if you want it, you can just turn on key tracking. It's just halfway, it sounds more like toms. Cool. Okay, let's play around with the envelopes a little bit more. I like that. That's more kick-like though. By switching the play direction to forward back and using 2-octave mode, if we play octaves, we can get a straight-ahead 4/4 rock beat. I think it still needs a little bit of adjustment in the envelopes. Tiny bit more decay, maybe a bit more release. Oh, that was good. More 808 like that with longer decay. But I think I like it like that. Nice. Okay, let's talk about some ideas on how we can perform with this patch. Yeah, I really like that kick. Yep, so arpeggio mode gives you kind of real-time control over what you want to play. You can easily get odd time beats like in 3/4 like this. Getting odd times on an analog drum machine is actually pretty hard, but here if I want 5, it's pretty easy. Cool, just hold 5 notes. One thing I don't think is documented in the manual is if you use hold, you can repeat notes and get longer patterns. So I'm just holding down 3 notes now. Now push hold, push down 3 notes, but duplicate the C. So now it's playing a 4-note pattern. So it's kind of acting like a step sequencer on the fly instead of an arpeggiator. Obviously really useful for melodic sequences, but cool for this too. Let's try another one in 5. Great. Yeah, it's pretty much impossible to do on a DFAM and really hard to do on most analog drum machines. Okay, I'm just going to mess around a bit with arpeggiator mode and see what I come up with. Cool. Okay, let's try sequencer mode now. So I'm just going to record start with a one-note sequence. There we go. Okay, so now that we use sequencer mode, we can use ratchet and tie. Obviously, the benefit of using the sequencer over the arpeggiator is we can make patterns and create things that might be a little bit too hard to play in real time. The main drawback, of course, with the Matriarch is there's no LEDs or indication of where you are in a sequence, so you really have to kind of count and keep track of where you are. So let's give it a go. We're going to try a 16-step sequence. I'm going to start with a kick, go up an octave and a tom, down back the octave, and some rests, a snare, a rest, another kick. Going to tie these kicks together for a long kick that can work like a drone. Some rest, another snare, rest, up the octave, and two more toms. I think that was 16. All right, let's hear it. Now, if I raise sustain where the tie was, get an 808 bass. Cool. That sounds good. Okay, let's see if we can sneak some hi-hats into this patch. So we're going to need some more mult cables, and we're going to use this attenuator here as a VCA. But first, okay, grab my mult cable, and we're going to take the noise out, which is still going to the snare, and mult that into our attenuator. Input, okay, and we're going to take the wave out of the mod wave and go into the CV in on our attenuator. So that means it's still synced to the gate, but we'll be able to get divisions by changing the rate. Now I'm just plugging this cable out of the attenuator straight into the input on my interface. Cool, it's all synced up. At the moment it kind of sounds like a shaker. So we're going to cheat a bit. I said we weren't going to use any external modules, but we are going to use some plugins. Just using a channel strip here, and I'm just going to use a high pass filter there and some EQ, add some high end. That sounds good. Maybe, I'll leave that in, roll these frequencies off. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, now let's turn on the compressor. This is a nice punchy compressor. I'm going to leave it at a medium attack so it gets a little bit of the hit transient stay in, and put a pretty high ratio on. And just dial in the threshold. Okay. Getting a little punch from that now. A bit more. Yeah, I think that's good there. Let's try a fast attack. No, yeah, medium attack's best. And now here's the secret. We need a gate. Okay, this is a real fast gate. I'm going to turn the range all the way up. And there we go. Adjust the threshold in the release. There we go. We've got a hi-hatty sort of sound happening now. Sweet. Okay, let's try it out. Do some fine-tuning. Change the rate, get some 16ths, that sounds good. Maybe tighten it up again. good. Now, because we're using a plugin for this, it's easy enough to automate any of these parameters in pretty much any DAW if you wanted to. But we can also use CV to get some variation. So I'm just going to grab a good old inline attenuator here. And, I need another mult cable first. So I'm going to unplug the gate for a second. Get a mult cable plugged into the gate. And out of the mult into right in on our second LFO. And taking my attenuator, inline attenuator, out of the triangle wave, and we're going to plug that into right in on the mod wave. Now we can get it to do some divisions. Oh, a bit too much. Try to tighten that up a bit. Not really working. Less modulation. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Still a bit chaotic. No. Well, that's cool. Roll off a bit of the lows. Nice. Almost getting a trap hi-hat now. Okay, that's might be worth experimenting with a little bit later on, but let's go into global settings and sometimes this is a bit finicky. Okay, there we go. So we're going to get D sharp 2, A sharp 1. That's our swing. And let's try full swing. Oh, it's okay. Change the rate. That's pretty good. Nice. Got some swing in our hi-hats on the beat now. Pretty cool. Okay, that pretty much takes care of it. Thanks for watching. Hope you have fun with this patch. And I'm just going to jam out for a bit now. Thanks.